Okay, so we already know how to solve these on Desmos. What is difficult for these is sometimes the graphs are crazy and a little hard to see. Let's go ahead. Let's solve this with Desmos before we learn how to solve it by hand. Okay, now I want you to know how to do both, but let's solve it with Desmos before we solve it by hand. So I want everybody to type this into Desmos with me. All right, if I'm solving an equation with Desmos, what do I do? F of x equals, and what do I set it equal to, Carson? What do I type in right here? X over 9? Okay. Is that what you said? Okay. And it really doesn't matter which one's left, which one's right. I usually do it the other way, but that's fine. So we do f of x equals one side of the equation, g of x equals the other side of the equation. Carson kind of did it backwards from the way I usually do it. I usually do the left side first and then the right side, but that's fine. It doesn't matter which one. There. So whenever you do that, let me hit the house button. What are we looking for? Where they cross. This one is not that bad on the graph. It's pretty easy to see where they cross. I've got these 2 points. And what are our answers? The x values. So for this, I should be getting -5 and I should be getting 6. Okay? So we can solve these with Desmos. Sometimes the graphs are a little bit wild and hard to see. This one, really not that bad. It's pretty easy to see. So let's look at how to do this by hand. Okay? All right, so if we're going to solve these by hand, we want to get common denominators for every term, because if I got a subtraction right here, if I'm going to subtract these, I've got to have common denominators. So to do that, I would think of, instead of 3x minus 3, I would think of this as 3 times x minus 1. Think of that as the factored version. So you might need to factor here. So I've got 3, I've got x minus 1, I got x minus 1 again, and I've got 9. So I've told you guys to think about the x's separately from the numbers. Okay? So I can see I've got x minus 1 here, x minus 1 here. They're all going to need an x minus 1, right? So that means over here, I need to multiply by x minus 1 in the bottom and x minus 1 in the top. But the numbers also have to match, okay? So this one has a 9. This one doesn't have any number with it at all. And this one has a 3. What number could I use to get those to match? What number do I want them to be in the bottom? Can I turn that 9 into a 3? I could turn 3 into a 9. I want them all to have a 9 in the bottom. So to get a 9 right here, I would need to multiply by 3 on top and bottom. To get a 9 right here, I would multiply by a 9 on top and bottom. And the last one already has a 9. Are we okay here? So now the bottom of all of my fractions are 9 times x minus 1. Okay, so if I do this, I've got 3 times 13, which is going to give me 39 over 9 times x minus 1 minus 9 over 9 times x minus 1 equals x times x minus 1 over 9 times x minus 1. Okay. Now, the cool thing about these problems is if once you get common denominators, what you're going to do, actually, I'm skipping a step. I need to look at my notes right here. Number 2 says determine excluded values. I have left off excluded values quite a bit. We started off with them, but we do want to think about the numbers we cannot have here because it can affect our answer. So, what number can I not have in this denominator? What number would give me 0 in the denominator? 1. So, x cannot equal 1. That's my excluded value. I'm just going to make a note of that over here. If 1 ends up being my answer, I got to throw that answer out. It doesn't happen that often, but it does happen sometimes. Okay. So, excluded values. Now, I'm going to multiply the denominator on both sides so that it cancels out. So, what happens is if I multiply this by 9 times x minus 1, and I multiply this by 9 times x minus 1, it just cancels out all the denominators. Okay? So, once you get common denominators, you can more or less just drop those denominators, and then we're going to just write the numerators left. So we got 39 minus 9 equals x times x minus 1. Okay, so at this point, you should either have a linear or a quadratic equation. So we're just going to solve that linear or quadratic equation. So 39 minus 9 is 30. I'm going to distribute this x right here. So I've got x squared minus x. This is going to be a quadratic equation because it's got x squared. Okay, so when I solve a quadratic equation, I want to move everything to one side. So I'm going to take this 30 over here. All right, so I got 0 equals x squared minus x minus 30. And then what do I do to solve that? X method. So I'm multiplying to get negative 30. I'm adding to get negative 1. What numbers would work for that? Okay. Close. What? Give me some signs. 6 and negative 5 give me a positive 1. Negative 6. Positive 5 will give me the negative 1. So I've got x minus 6, x plus 5. Now, when we're doing this, those are the factors, right? But we're wanting to solve it, so we're thinking of what makes each one of these 0. So we're doing x minus 6 equals 0. You're going to move that 6 over to the other side. You'll get x equals 6. And then you're doing x plus 5 equals 0. So you'll move that x to the other side, and you'll get, I don't know why it keeps doing this, negative 5. So 6 and negative 5, those are our answers that we got on Desmos. Okay, questions? Okay, let's look at number 2. All right, number 2 has denominators of x minus 6 and x. We had one like, this was similar to the last one on the quiz that we took on Friday. And on that last one, here's what a lot of you guys did. You were trying to get the denominators to match, so you did like minus 6, minus 6. Can we do that? Can we add or subtract to the bottom of a fraction like that? We cannot. You can only multiply. This is an illegal move. It is going to kill a math fairy. Don't do it. So instead, you just basically have to multiply by the other denominator. Okay? So we're going to like multiply this one by x on top and bottom. And we're going to multiply this one by x minus 6 on top and bottom. So that gives me 7x over x times x minus 6 equals 4 times x minus 6 over x times x minus 6. Okay, here. Now, once the denominators are the same, what can I do with them whenever they're the same? We can cancel them out because we're like, essentially we're multiplying by x times x minus 6. It just cancels them out, right? So that just leaves us with the numerator. So we've got 7x equals 4. Is it okay with you guys if I go ahead and distribute this right here? So I'll get 4x minus 24. Okay. So Joey, looking at this, we got 7x equals 4x minus 24. What would we do to solve that one? Good. And to do that, I got to move 1 to the other side. So how do I, which one do you want to move, the 7x or the 4x? All right, so if I subtract that 4x like this, that'll get those variables together. So I've got 3x equals negative 24. And then, what's the last step on that one, Joey? Divide by that 3. Good. What do we get for our answer, Joey? Almost negative 8. Don't lose that negative that's there with it. Now, on every single problem, I want you to check these on Desmos because it'll also take care of our excluded values that I neglected to do right there. So we could just do f of x equals 7 over x minus 6. Go down the next line. G of x equals 4 over x. Now, here's what I'm talking about, the graphs being a little weird. It's kind of hard to see where these cross right here. But if you click on it, it's going to put you a gray dot. They do cross right there at negative 8. Even though it almost looks like it's sort of like an asymptote situation there. But they do cross at negative 8. It also looks like they might cross over here. But if you zoom out and click on it, like there's no gray dot. They don't cross over there. So I don't want you to entirely rely on Desmos because sometimes the graphs are difficult to look at. But certainly check every single one with Desmos, okay? All right, try 3 on your own right there. Denominators to match. The best way to do that is to just multiply by the opposite denominator. Some of you are multiplying by the same denominator that's already there. But this has an x minus 2. It needs the other denominator, that 3. So I multiply by 3 right here on top and bottom. And then this 3 over here is missing the x minus 2. So I have to multiply by x minus 2 on top and bottom. Okay, so in the top, make sure you put parentheses around these. You're going to have x plus 3 times x minus 2 over 3 times x minus 2. And over here, you just have 8 times 3, so I went ahead and multiplied that together and got 24 over 3 times x minus 2. So if you didn't have it right, fix it here. So you're just multiplying by that opposite denominator. Then, it's just going to depend on what you've got left. When your denominators match, you can cancel them out. Okay, so you're multiplying by that denominator, but it just cancels them out. Mark them out. You're just left with what's in the top. So here, this x plus 3 times x minus 2, you're going to have to multiply it together to get the next line. So this is what I was showing you guys on the board. X times x gives you this x squared. X times negative 2 gives you that negative 2x. 3 times x gives you the 3x, and 3 times negative 2 gives you the negative 6. And then you can combine those middle terms, these two right here, go together, and it gives you just a positive x. So we got x squared plus x minus 6 equals 24. And now you want to move it. Since this is a quadratic, it's got an x squared, you want to move everything to one side and hope that it factors. So if I move everything to one side, I'll subtract that 24. That gives me a negative 30 here. For my x method on this, I'm looking for numbers that multiply to give me negative 30 and add to give me a positive 1. And that ends up with a negative 5 and a positive 6. So I've got x minus 5, x plus 6. And then your answers just end up being the opposite signs for that when you set each one equal to 0. So we should get 5 and negative 6. Okay. If we check it really quickly on Desmos, here we got f of x equals x plus 3 over 3. We got g of x equals 8 over x minus 2. We are looking for where those cross. There's negative 6. There is our negative 6, positive 5 for that. Okay, questions? The wrong thing there. Where's my, there we go. Okay, let's do one that just has, like, doesn't have a plus or minus sign really there. So if we've got, for example, 4, we got 4/3 minus 7 over n equals 1/6. So we need to treat our variables and our numbers separately. Okay, we've got an n right here in the bottom. That means all of them need to have n's, right? So that means this 3 right here needs an n. Well, if I put an n on the bottom, I must also put an n on the top. This one already has an n, so I don't have to include one there. And the 6 needs an n. And if it has an n on the bottom, it needs an n on the top. Okay, so make sure you're following along, writing this one down. Joey, you got it? Okay, good. All right, so now I need to think about my numbers. I got a 3, a nothing, and a 6. What number could I use for my common denominator there? 12 would work. There's a smaller number I could use, though. I could just do 6. So if I multiply this fraction by 2 on top and bottom, 2 times 3 will give me 6. What do I need to multiply the middle fraction by? 6. And then 6 on the bottom, 6 on the top. All right, so if I do this, here's what I'm looking at. I've got 8n over 6n minus 42 over 6n equals n over 6n. Are we all okay here? What comes next? Hunter, what can I do after I've got all those common denominators? By what? No. That was just kind of send me backwards. Whenever my denominators are all the same, I can just cross out the denominators. I can cancel those. Essentially, you're multiplying through by 6n. It cancels all of them there. So that just leaves us with the numerators. 8n minus 42 equals n. I'm going to put a 1 in there just maybe to help us out a little bit. Richard, how would I solve that one? Okay, I can, if I want, but there's nothing to add it to over there. I'd rather get the 8 n's, like the n's together. And I could, like normally I'd subtract that 1 n, but if I do, I got nothing left over here, right? So even though it's going to give us a negative, I'm going to subtract this 8n. So I got negative 42 equals negative 7n. And then what would be my last step, Richard? Divide by that -7. And so I get 6 equals n. Now, I want to check all of these on Desmos, every single one. So if I pull up Desmos here, I'm going to say f of x equals 4/3 minus 7/n. Oh, use an x, don't use an n. And then g of x equals 1/6. And if I look at that graph right there, they cross right there at 6 for that. So that is my correct answer. Okay. 5 is similar. I want you guys to try 5 on your own. Okay. All right. So for this one, to run through it real quick, you need a 2 in top and bottom here. You need a k in top and bottom here. You need a 2 in top and bottom here. Now you got 2 k's in the bottom for everything. So you have 6 minus 1k equals 24. Okay. Cannon, what do I do to solve that? Okay. And so I got -1k equals 18. What do I do next? Good. What does that give me? -18. There. And that should be my answer. Let's double check it with Desmos. We're going to always double check with Desmos. Alright, so f of x equals 3/x minus 1/2. G of x equals 12/k. Oh, sorry, don't use a k. X. And this is where, like, I think it's kind of difficult for these. That's why I want you to be able to solve it both ways. These don't really look like they cross very much, but they do. They cross right here at -18. That's your only answer. But sometimes they're a little difficult to see there. Okay, we just got a couple more to do here. So, and in fact, we may not do 7 together. We may move on to our assignment. We have to be really careful when we have problems like number 6 or number 7 here. All right, so number 6 and number 7, what makes them a little bit tricky here is that they've got a single number right here. It's easy to overlook that. You have to do the denominator of those problems too. Okay? So the first thing I would do here is I would factor c squared minus 4c. Okay? So when I'm factoring c squared minus 4c, Sophia, how do I factor that? C squared minus 4c? Is it an X method or is it a GCF? It's a GCF. What could I take out? A C. So I'm going to take out a C, and I'll have a C minus 4. Like that. So this is C times C minus 4. Right here I've got C minus 4. Right here I got nothing but a 1. Okay? So if I'm trying to get these to match, what does the second fraction right here need? A C. So I'm going to multiply by C on top and on bottom. Okay? The first fraction needs nothing. It's got everything it needs. It's got the C and the C minus 4. The last fraction has nothing. It needs a C and a C minus 4. It is really easy to skip that, though, and not make it have a denominator at all. Yes? Just to make it a fraction so we realize it's a fraction. Any whole number, we can put it over 1 to make it a fraction. Yeah. Okay? All right, so here's what I'm looking at now. I've got 3c minus 2 over c times c minus 4 equals, c times c is c squared over c times c minus 4. I'm going to leave this straight now. I'm not going to multiply it together. C times c minus 4 over c times c minus 4. That minus sign's the reason I'm holding off on that, because it's really easy to miss that. Okay, so now all of my denominators are the same. So when all my denominators are the same, Jose, what can I do with them? Cross them out. We can cancel them out here. So here's what I'm looking at now. 3c minus 2 equals c squared minus c times c minus 4. This c right here could get distributed. Okay, this looks like a quadratic, but what's going to happen when I've got c squared minus c squared? Those cancel out. That's just 0. So really it's not a quadratic. Now I've just got 3c minus 2 equals 4c. Okay, Fernando, how do I solve that? Good. So I got negative 2 equals 3 minus 3c is just 1c, which is really just c, right? So there should be my answer. For that, we want to check every single one of these on Desmos. F of x equals 3x minus 2 over x squared minus 4x, and g of x equals x over x minus 4 minus 1. And if you are looking at these, they cross right here. That is that negative 2. So that would be your answer. Okay, questions?